Welcome back to Nightmind Live. There's not much to say about this one ahead of time, since it's a continuation of our journey with the Tangi Virus saga last week. If you haven't seen that yet, circle back there, and then pick up here. Enjoy! S. Part 6, okay. All the men were dressed in Dunnington construction uniforms. I was no more than 20 feet away before they pointed their weapons at me. I didn't need to get any closer to know they were very serious. This is one bad situation that keeps getting worse. A short man floated next to me. He appeared to be the one in charge. He said his name was Frank, and I'll never forget what he told me. You can go back willingly, or we can bring you back with a few bones broken. Once you become food meant for the gods who stay on the menu. You are meant for the belly of the eye. Wonder if I can put that on my resume. What is this Leon Kennedy energy here? I wonder if I could put that on my resume. As we drifted away, the men from Dunnington Construction started chanting, "Become one with the eye," over and over. It was unnerving. Thought about killing myself. Somehow it felt like a better solution than sinkhole food. But I'm too much of a coward to do myself in. Maybe I'll get another chance to escape. Maybe. Maybe I won't end up sacrificed. Maybe I should have found another career years ago. Maybe I'm already screwed. Frank brought me back by himself. I expected him to try and convert me to his crazy religion, or maybe try to convince me that this was all for the best. The moment we were out of earshot, the first words out of his mouth were, "Dunnington is a fool." And if things are going to get weirder, Frank went on to explain why he felt Dunnington was stupid. The followers of the Eye are in the middle of a civil war. Apparently, not all of them think the Eye was meant to be worshipped. Some felt it was something to be controlled. Frank explained to me that the Eye is nothing more than a giant hungry monster. It's very intelligent and very old, but it is still just a monster. He believed the correct way of using the Eye was to bleed it, then use its pain to change the world. They called themselves Masters of the Eye. We got factions inside factions. Factionception. He then tried to recruit me. The pain of the Eye is power. Its blood grants immortality. It can bring back the dead. It can grant wealth, power, control. It can grant you time and second chances. It can change the world. It takes a special kind of idiot to willingly feed yourself to an otherworldly creature, and Dunnington is apparently that special kind of idiot. He then showed me a bomb. It was meant to be dumped into the sinkhole, a massive cut that would release power to their cult. I begged him to just let me go. Unfortunately, I was his ticket to get close to Dunnington. If he could kill him before he fed himself to the Eye, then he wouldn't have to worry about him returning. Because if he made it back, then that means the previous leaders would return. All of them remained in the Eye's image. It might look like them and think it was them, but it would lack their soul. It would be some poor imitation the Eye spat out. This really is very much in the vein of Weird Tales kind of stories, mixed in with a touch of that whole faction-choosing idea from Bethesda games and RPGs in general. I really enjoy this. And it's very much even in the Weird Tales form of, like, epistolary novel almost, or journalistic. Because all of this is told from that journaling kind of view, as the person has already gone through it, and then they write it down as if it were a diary that you found. And then he just pulled out a bomb. Yeah, as one does. Purple. Frank hid the bomb on the boat before escorting me back into the facility. He whispered that if this went well, that he'd let me go. Something told me that I probably shouldn't believe anything he said. We were greeted with a sight neither of us could have expected. The computer team was tied up while Dunnington and his suits were kneeling before Prophet. They were listening to a familiar tune. Oh, yeah.
Hello, Landon. I see you have returned, and you have brought a friend. Welcome, Frank Sanders. Have you come to pay your respects to your prophet?
Frank kneeled and bowed his head. He screamed, "Praise the Eye and his prophets!" Dunnington hugged Frank like a best friend. He had no idea what his employee thought of him. I hoped he had plenty of bullets in that gun. I don't think one would put Dunnington down. Not sure 6 would either.
Thank you, Frank, but something troubles me. Would you mind helping answer a question? Do I look like a fool?
Both Frank and Mr. Dunnington looked confused.
Perhaps you didn't hear me. Do I look like a fool? A halfwit, nincompoop, dunce, dolt, ignoramus, cretin, imbecile, dullard, moron, simpleton, dope.
See, this is the point at which a successful protagonist... Oh boy, thank you for saying this one, Mystics. Does he look like a bitch? Yeah, I was thinking it too. But this is the point at which a successful character, try the protagonist angle, would take out the gun while Prophet is rattling on and just unload into Dunnington and get a move on. Because you have the time distraction right in front of you.
Chump, dimwit, goon, dumbo, dummy, loon, jackass, bonehead, numbskull, twit.
Frank didn't answer, but he did glance at me. It was a look of fear, confusion. This wasn't going as planned.
Frank, you are pissing me off.
So this is one of the things that I truly admire about the work behind Vintage 8. Because the creator approach, it knows how much to play things seriously up to a point of then injecting a touch of camp or a bit of humor. And the humor is so well timed. It chooses its moments to really nail it. It's not going to overdo it. It's not going to oversell it. You'll understand the vibe and the tone. Above a lot of other things that I could praise about the work under Vintage 8, I'm going to really highlight that one. Is that there is such a control and competency when it comes to the tone and knowing when to weave something in. During Tangi Virus, there was a moment where I did laugh because it's like you broke the tone in a way that doesn't really work. But that's the only time that I've been able to detect where it really did not sail or it slipped. This is a control of the tone work that you can really admire, because you've got to have that competency and that intelligence in order to pull off serious, mysterious, funny, campy, serious, campy, and all of the hybrid approaches throughout, where you have this moment of, you're still in the story here, but now the computer is saying, you are pissing me off, and you can enjoy it for what it is. Frank shook his head no.
Now tell me, why are you treating me like an idiot?
Frank tried to speak, but...
Mr. Dunnington, your friend here is not who he says he is. Frank is a member of the traitor group, the so-called Masters of the Eye.
Boom! Boom! Frank fired off 2 shots. Neither of them hit Dunnington. Frank didn't get a 3rd shot off before Dunnington ripped his arm out of its socket like he was a damn toy. He bled out in less than a minute, but not before claiming that they may meet again someday. Dunnington spat
Those
on
who
his
bleed
body.
the eye must pay the ultimate price. The one never forgets those who betray him or those who use them. Endless hells await his soul. 100%.
See, and right there, it decided to weave back in the element of this being an artificial intelligence that responds with percentages on things that it says, because we almost forgot that element. So while it's still being the Prophet personality, it brought back that touch right there. Very nice. You going to hell. 100%. I guess Frank was the real idiot after all. He had no idea what he was walking into. But then again, neither do I. And maybe Dunnington doesn't either. Yo, Landon, you can still set the bomb off, though. This is your protagonist character moment. Set off the bomb! Set off the bomb!
No more games. The Sinkhole will be here by midday tomorrow. The one will be ready to accept your offering, Mr. Dunnington. Now, can someone please tend to Landon? One of the bullets struck him in the shoulder. There's a first aid kit in the bathroom.
He was right. One of the bullets struck me high in the shoulder. The bullet went straight through. Didn't even feel it until Prophet mentioned it. Then it was agony.
You are going to lose consciousness in 20 seconds, Landon, but I want you to remember one thing before you black out. The next time you leave this facility, it is to be casted into the hungry mouth of the one. Chance of error 0%.
And then I saw darkness. Shock's a hell of a drug. Here's the fun part about that. That's not a case of shock. We have a lot of evidence, lots of evidence, recorded evidence, that your cognition of things that happen to you is what allows everything else to fall in on you. It's most observable with athletes. Athletes suffer injuries on the field all the time. Quite often, they do not even feel their injuries or begin acting as if they are injured until somebody else points them out or they look down and see something. Then it all falls on them. You can observe this in your own life if you know anybody with really small children, like really young, because what's the idea behind what happens if a child trips? Don't react negatively. If you don't react negatively, watch what happens instead. The kid is going to get up and probably brush themselves off and keep running. If you make a fuss, then they begin to cry. Then they begin to feel pain because you have alerted them to something, and then they accept that reality and begin experiencing it. Tower Mom has evidence here. Yep, I broke my thumb when I was in middle school. Didn't even notice till my gym teacher grabbed me and rushed me to the nurse. And then you started to feel it, right? You didn't feel a thing until they actually caught you and said you need to go to the nurse. Ah. That's a fun effect. And that song has been prevailing throughout this entire video, once it was introduced. I woke up just after midnight. My shoulder was killing me, but I was alive. For now, anyway. I checked the door and it was locked. The windows were boarded shut. I wasn't getting out of here. I pounded out the door, but no one came. I doubt they could even hear me over that godforsaken noise. I'm not going to lie. I cried. Quite a bit. I didn't want it to end this way. If what Prophet said was true, then dying wasn't even going to be the end of it. My only thought was Frank's bomb. If I could get that, then maybe I could use that to leverage some kind of escape. Or at least I could go out on my own terms. Take these evil bastards with me. First thing I had to do was keep that damn noise out of my head. I ripped up the sheets and stuffed them into my ears. Didn't work. I was scared what happened to Jeffrey was going to happen to me. This noise was going to infect me, change me. Maybe it already has changed me. I started to lose track of time, I think. Oh, so Rhiannon, my question is, why does the AI follow the I? Doesn't it want to protect humanity? The I wants to eat everything. This is a version that has been corrupted by the I. So Oracle, the true Oracle, does want to protect humanity. This version of Oracle listened to the music, the song of the I, and was changed into Prophet, a servant of the I. Maybe I was dreaming, maybe I was hallucinating, maybe it didn't matter, but I heard a voice. It asked me to write, asked me to finish my journal, so I did. I wrote and wrote. If you are reading this, then know this is what I wrote. I had this feeling that what I was doing was important, necessary. This was to be the most important thing ever written. I wrote for hours, I think. People need to know what happened here. It's necessary. Yeah, necessary. Okay, so now we have a disembodied voice that is telling Landon it's necessary to write these things down. Intriguing. Then I think I passed out. I started dreaming, I think. I saw things I've never thought possible. I saw another world. A world where people were born from graveyards. Schools were filled with the elderly. Children were wise and respected. They were the leaders of the community, and when death came, they were eaten by those that loved them. They slept during the day. They didn't cook what they consumed. It was eaten alive. The sun rose in the west and set in the east. Humanity was wild and angry. Animals were peaceful and docile. I saw the impossible. I saw the rules of the world in reverse. Then I woke up in a cold sweat. They're winning. That sound is getting into my head. If this keeps up, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to jump in that damn hole willingly. I ripped my bed apart. I took the feet of the bed and banged it against the desk, the wall, anything that made a noise. My only chance was to drown out that damn sound from the sinkhole. It worked. All I could hear was the pounding against the desk. I could feel my sanity returning. For a moment, I was thinking normally. I had to get out of here. I had to get to that bomb. I had to. Mr. Dunnington and his suits finally opened the door. They didn't look happy. Oh well. They easily subdued me and brought me to Prophet. Hey, Tataru Hero, thank you for the 3 months of Prime. Great to be back just in time for fall. Kind of where I was last year. Haha.
What the hell, Landon? Why can't you accept that this is over? Sigh. Humans. You just can't accept the inevitable. Stupid.
It's amazing how much becoming Prophet humanized Oracle in this way. Oh my god! We gotta hear this one.
Only I had legs. I'd use them to kick you in the ass. Dumbass.
On some Red Foreman shit. Oh man. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care if this is gonna date me and push me further into boomer/daddy territory. Moone, do you know who Red Foreman is without looking him up? Okay. Well, put a quick flash of Red Foreman on the screen for us from that 70s show.
Wyatt and Lucy have fortunately seen the light. They have been gloriously converted to the One. But your pitiful primitive display interrupted Oliver's transition. Sigh. You should be ashamed of your selfish display. But I know that you are not. You are not evolved enough. Yet. You should know. We almost had you. We were very close. Closer than Oliver. Thankfully, conversion doesn't require us starting over. Heh. Now let's resume your conversion, but under my supervision.
And the sound continued. The only thing I could do was scream. I screamed until my voice gave out. Then I screamed some more. I screamed
It's time. He's here. I applaud your resolve, Landon, but it's over. Time to go to your just reward, whether you want it or not.
This was it. The moment I've been dreading. I've never been more afraid. They marched us out to the pier of the facility. It was horrifying. There was an empty path through the swamp, straight from the sinkhole to us. It ate so much. I couldn't help but wonder, where the hell did it go? And to make matters worse, on the opposite side of the facility, we were pinned in by Dunnington's men, no doubt ready to shoot Oliver or myself if we didn't comply. The three suits shook Dunnington's hand, hugged him, hugged each other, then took the plunge. They looked so happy, so sure. I've never been that sure about anything. Never. I hated them for that. Wyatt and Lucy jumped in after. Oliver hesitated. Mr. Dunnington tried to give him a nudge, but Oliver panicked. He hasn't gone yet. Oliver tried to fight, but into the water like a ragdoll. Now he really was gone, like I would be. This was my only chance. I ran for Frank's boat. Thankfully, no one fired on me. Dunnington just giggled. Come on, my friends. There's nowhere to go. Except salvation. He was quite shocked when I revealed the bomb. It was the first time I saw fear in his eyes. I demanded he let me go. I was surprised when he said that he couldn't. Mr. Dunnington leapt into the water, and his men cheered. Now who in the hell would I bargain with? I turned to his men, demanded they let me go or I'd blow them and their damn one-eyed god to hell. They said nothing, just glared at me. They didn't care. They were just watching me like a mouse dropped into a snake's aquarium. In desperation, I reached for the bomb's trigger. I was gonna take us all out, but I never got the chance. A tentacle emerged from the water and it gently set itself on my shoulder. And then I saw it all. I saw what we were meant to be. I saw what was taken from us. All of those impossible things played again, and I wanted it back. All of it. I didn't just want it. I demanded it to be returned to me. Everything. Every damn thing. I wanted to be a part of the One. It was all I ever wanted. All I ever needed. It was everything. I set the bomb on the ground, begged him to take me, but he told me that he had a job for me. He needed me to complete my journal, finish my story. Oh, fuck. It was the eye. My words would be part of the bigger story, a story that he would use to build his church. I would be his rock, one of many available for those looking for the truth. Oh no. He's a disciple.
Congratulations, Landon. I am truly jealous. You have been blessed with an incredible opportunity.
I worked with Prophet until every word was locked in. One day my words will save souls, and now the time has come. Prophet and I will join the many inside the One. The end, the beginning, backwards infinity. No! No! Around March 24th, It is believed that a pocket of natural gas ignited and pushed the displaced Earth towards the surface. In time, the greenery, wildlife, and people returned. For most, the sinkhole known as Pac-Man remains a blip in the history of Mashak. Along with Resident Evil 7, Vintage 8 has definitely let me know Louisiana is no place you want to be. New Orleans is great, but nothing else. And for those who are familiar with the hard drives, they run off the odd journal entries as low-level natural gas poisoning. And then there are others who believe that the hard drives are a sign of terrible things to come. End of part 7. And there's the sinkhole.
Good afternoon, I am Prophet, and I have returned to share the good news.
Oh no. And so now we are on to the Swarm. I am really curious to see how much Vintage 8 develops its work from here, piece by piece. Because every upload gives you a new opportunity, a new approach for whatever the storytelling is, a new method of conveyance, a new bag of tricks to try out. So, we already know how much fun we're having with the narrative and the world build. And it very much is kind of a world build sandbox sort of thing. Is there's a whole bunch of different factors here, and you're going to get to experience stories from all these horrors of this universe and these factions kind of duking it out and running into each other and learning about each other, and the human beings caught in the crosshairs. And sometimes they're smart-ass AI companions. But now comes the challenge of, can you keep us interested with your technical skill set and your creative conveyance? Because your storytelling can definitely keep us going with this, but now the challenge is, can you keep it creative visually and in terms of execution as a creator from the actual video editor standpoint? That's where my curiosity lies here. Not so much how much freakier can this world build get, although I am interested in that. I'm more so interested in just how much fun can we have, and because this is still built under, as you'll see in the upper left, analog horror, can you actually keep it analog media? Can you still manage to play to this? Because you've justified the idea in the world build that there are people now who understand it's better to embrace analog as means of conveyance rather than digital, because Oracle is the internet. And Oracle is a threat. But can you convince me? Can you keep on convincing me beyond the justification that whatever I'm going to see is just whatever was cooked up on a computer that baked into a VHS? I'd like to see that. I accept the proposition you've put forward here when it comes to that, but I want to see more of the justification if you can pull that off. So let's do it. Let's hit the Swarm. The following video is a collection of news segments, radio broadcasts, as well as other media from early 2001 to 2008 documenting what has become locally known as the North Tangi Swarm. Alright, we've got some media mixing here. News segments, radio broadcasts, as well as other media. See, I'm immediately asking myself, is it going to be a case like the Tangi Virus, where it is legitimate media that has been pulled from sources online, and the story has been written to run along with it? Or have things been manufactured? I'm a little interested in the potential of manufactured stuff to see how well you manage to sell it. This video was assembled as part of a video exhibit for the North Tangipahoa Memorial and Museum. Okay, 2001 to 2008 though. There's not a lot of room for analog anything in there past a certain year point. I would say probably something like 2004 would be your cutoff. And that's a bit of grace involved in giving it 2004. But let's see what happens. I still like the whole setup that we have here. I did not mean to make that face. I'm sorry. I froze while raising my mug.
While you're there, you've got to check out the top quality certified Black Angus meats. Prepared by their professional and friendly staff, you'll notice the quality of the cut and the low price right away.
All of this already feels so much more legitimate than a lot of what other people try to sell us. I'm already having way good feelings about this. Okay, that's a template, but I still dig it. Especially because that template gets used, that kind of thing gets used a lot.
After 8 years of fighting for regulatory approval, Northshore Research will release the first genetically modified mosquitoes in the United States. Northshore Mosquito Control is scheduled to launch March 21st, 2001 in Independence, Louisiana. Worldwide, mosquitoes kill an estimated 700,000 people yearly. Over 1 million pets in the US alone are estimated to be infected with heartworms. The infection rate for dogs over 2 years old is thought to be over 80% in South Louisiana. The experiment is designed to suppress the Aedes albopictus breed of mosquito, which carries the West Nile virus and yellow fever. In the United States, there hasn't been an outbreak of yellow fever since 1905. However, it is endemic in 33 African and 11 South American countries. West Nile, on the other hand, has become a huge problem in southeast Louisiana since its emergence in 1999. West Nile virus is a single-stranded RNA virus that causes West Nile fever, which can cause fever, headache, vomiting, or a rash. In less than 1% of people, encephalitis or meningitis occurs, with associated neck stiffness, confusion, or seizures. The risk of death among those in whom the nervous system is affected is about 10%. The Northshore Mosquito Control experiment works by introducing genetically engineered male mosquitoes into the wild. The modified males carry a gene that passes to their offspring and kills female progeny in early larval stages. Since only female mosquitoes bite, this limits the possibility of infection in human and animal populations. Genetically engineered mosquitoes are an alternative to insecticides. If successful, the Northshore Mosquito Control Project could save millions. However, not everyone is excited about the project. Opposition to the Independence field trial has been fierce from some residents. Most express concern about being bitten by a new strand of mosquito, or how the bugs will disrupt the Louisiana ecosystem. Officials with Northshore Research have assured the community that the experiment is safe. Northshore Research plans to release the results to the EPA in 2002.
Okay, guys, are we betting that the mosquitoes are secretly filled with Tangi Virus as an alternative to getting the residents to drink the water because so many whistleblowers have screwed that up? Because that's what it sounds like is gonna happen here. Yeah. Super effective work here. Love the new approach. Love how authentically the creators try to dive into this. Very much a case of understanding the formatting has to change. It has to be more realistic for what somebody in this situation would scrape together for their job to actually put out there. We've got it now, because this fits the bill.
Northshore Research is a pioneer in neuroscience, genetics, immunology, and technology. The future begins on the North Shore.
Tell me what I want to know, Joey.
I ain't saying nothing.
Oh, yeah? Well, we got ways to make you talk.
Ranger Juke over there, Farley Cataloni, Johnny C, Jimmy C.
Okay. Where'd they hide my money?
I ain't saying nothing.
Can't work like this.
Can I have some more Doritos?
That's not a real ad, right? It's gotta be the homemade ad. That was pretty great. Whoa, what a fun bit that is.
The movement to stop the upcoming Northshore Mosquito Control Project continues to gain support in the community. What started as a few dozen protesters has quickly grown to thousands.
You're swearing it was a real ad? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
Mayor Gagliano and the council have called an emergency meeting to discuss whether or not to move forward with the project. The council voted 4-1 to proceed with the Northshore project.
Any power reaches into all of the tangible.
Exciting news for Independence, Louisiana. Tomorrow is the first day of the Northshore Mosquito Control Project. Despite heavy opposition from many locals, the experiment is expected to usher in a new era in mosquito and pest control.
Us for all of your firework needs. Put your money in the sky, not in the hands of an overpriced dealer. We offer
It's me! I'm sorry, it's like 2003. Cell phones are really shitty right now, okay? I had to knock, and I got real big hands. You see?
Protesters of the Mosquito Control Project have released a video that they say proves the dangers of the controversial experiment.
Alright. I'm going to investigate one of those Northshore mosquito boxes. I want to get a look at what these bastards are pushing on our communities. I will not let my kids be subjugated to this irresponsible and dangerous experiment.
I love all the footage that we're seeing here. However, the audio not actually coming from the camera as this is happening is far too transparent. I can very much tell that was just layered over. It's not with the camera on the scene. I really would have just allowed it to record me while going out there and doing the footage. If this is your own handmade footage and you were able to do that, if not, and you grabbed this, or somebody managed to provide this, then I definitely understand that. But I can hear the difference here. It's I would have just gone to some woods. I would have gone to some woods and tried to get it myself. I would have.
Should be close.
Like, why does the walking sound authentic? Why does the walking sound authentic but the voice work doesn't? What's happening there? Digital Calibrator's asking, why does everyone stare at the ground when they're walking with a camera on in these things? That's because they're not actually looking through the camera lens. They're keeping the camera about the height of my mug while looking for themselves to get the wider eye view of everything going on. So then they're not paying so much attention to getting it up around their eyes to see through, you see? Maybe the voice audio didn't record properly or got corrupted. There's a potential for that. I would definitely take that explanation because things happen. Or maybe in the mix it sounded awful, like you really couldn't figure out what was being said. But then the answer to that would be subtitles, right? Wow, what is all of that?
Sounds like I'm close to a hornet's nest or a beehive. Must be some killer bees in those trees or something. It's like a damn snake bite.
Did he say a snake bite?
It's like a damn snake bite.
Okay, so it seems he got bit by one of the genetically modified mosquitoes, and it felt like a snake bite, and then there was a swarm of them. So, he's infected, he's screwed.
Northshore Research has issued a statement refuting the protesters' video. They maintain that the public does not need to fear the Mosquito Control Project. The project was designed to help the community and hopefully the world.
Small note, the Northshore logo looks like an eye. Hold up. Yeah, it does, you're right. Good catch. That is some very threatening breaking news. What else did we expect, guys? That was not a good idea. Arrow Griffin has it correctly pinpointed. Shocked Pikachu face. The genetically modified mosquitoes are a terrible idea and they kill lots of people. Okay, but hold on a second here, because in terms of story, let's think this through, right? We were thinking the mosquitoes were genetically modified to carry the Tangi Virus. That's why they were released here, because they would be among their own kind once they turned. And they do have like hive mind behavior going on, right? No, Graffy, the mosquitoes don't just want to take a little sip. Everybody's dying. Lots of these people are dying. We're talking massive amounts of death. That's not what the virus wants. That's not what the alien infection here wants. What if the genetically modified mosquitoes are meant to kill them? So it's one of two things that I'm thinking. Either it's Oracle's cure, and this is how it's being distributed, because those suckers are going to bite everybody. And if you are infected, if you have succumbed to the alien infection, it's going to wipe you out. Or this is another threat in this whole big gotcha game of supernormal or paranormal threats happening. It's gotta be one of the two. It's either Oracle, I'm thinking, managing to accomplish the task, and it's starting at ground zero to eliminate the virus, or it's something else, and we have yet another faction fighting in this world. So the Shattered says, oh wait, so the organization's logo looked like an eye, right? What if other followers of the One, maybe they hate the virus/aliens that are trying to take them out? Maybe. It seems as if the eye is somehow connected to the virus from everything that we learned, like it actually is the original source of it. She Who Done says inoculation via mosquito. Why does that sound like a good idea? Why does that sound like a good idea? Numerous reasons.
North of 51, me and my buddy, and they just came out of nowhere. The damn thing sounded like bees, but bigger. And when they bit, they would take the skin off with it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. No way, man. There's no way I'm going back to the parish now. Those little monsters can have it for all I care. I'm out of here.
Dude, I just came out here at a party, man. Suddenly this big swarm comes out of nowhere. It ate everything up, like that wave I caught in Santa Monica last year should.
Mate, I was wrong. I've seen a bloke get bit clean in half by a croc back home, but nothing like this. It was so loud. Even in the car, they went for his eyes and mouth. I prefer the croc, honestly.
The fifth trumpet sounds. The end of days are at hand. For as the Lord wrote in the book of Revelations, out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and upon them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not harm the grass nor any green thing, but only those men who have not the seal of God on their foreheads. So I tell you, you must repent of your sins, embrace Christ, and you shall be saved. Repent or perish.
Oh no, what do pets have to do with this now?
Hello. Diane. Yes. Tomorrow night. That would be just perfect. Doing? Oh, I was just having someone over for dinner.
Was that some Patrick Bateman meets Hannibal Lecter type shit?
As you can see, roads are gridlocked in North Tangiboho Parish. Community leaders are trying to aid traffic flow before night.
Who filmed that and put it on air? Who just stood back and filmed an old lady being attacked by the swarm and then handed that over to be on air? Who does that?
The parish mourns as efforts to save lives turns into tragedy. The failed evacuation has left hundreds more dead and no easy way to clear the vehicles left behind. The governor has declared a state of emergency, calling in the National Guard to aid the hundreds of thousands of residents unable to evacuate North Tangiboho Parish.
Government mandatory curfew broadcast. All throughout these little sections, you've been able to see just how the situation has deteriorated through the FPTV guide. Like, this place is really, truly fucked now. How many times have they had a mass evacuation over, like, 2 decades straight? Or even 1 decade? Because it was evacuated during the water crisis. It's being evacuated again now. Nobody should live here.
Emergency broadcast system. 7 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. curfew imposed for North Tangiboho Parish. This is for your safety. Immediately get indoors. Please turn off all lights. Please turn off your television. Cover your windows. Emergency services will not be available during curfew. If a swarm enters your home, wrap yourself in as many blankets as possible. This is for your safety. Protect yourself from the swarm. You are safe in the dark.
I'm gonna say something that you probably won't expect out of me. Making that face just now. This is a classic, common, analog horror, stereotypical mark it on the bingo card kind of thing. And it actually works here and makes sense. Once again, I am saluting the professor for getting it right when so many others just do not understand the context needed for this kind of thing. Why did this go correctly when so many others absolutely swing and just let go of the bat instead of hitting the ball on this? Think about the situation. Think about the context of who is making this and under what conditions. Okay? Like, let's wind it back. It's 2001. All right? 2001. The parish has clearly upgraded its ability to do local programming and use sorts of graphics, all of that stuff. It's the emergency broadcast system, but they need to make a message on the fly. There's a mass evacuation. There's been a mass evacuation for a little bit now. Nobody has time in any sort of emergency response situation to cook up anything more than what is absolutely necessary to get out there with whatever assets that they have. And they're on a more digital format now. Less analog, more digital. So observe the look and listen.
7 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. curfew imposed for North Tangipahoa Parish. This is for your safety. Immediately get indoors. Please turn off all lights. Please turn off your television. Cover your windows. Emergency services will not be available during curfew. If a swarm enters your home, wrap yourself in as many blankets as possible. This is for your safety. Protect yourself from the swarm. You are safe in the dark.
Yeah, Fonatide, like legitimately, they're using clip art. It's basically clip art. It's clip art. It's text to speech. It's as quick as they can manage to manufacture this and get it out and get the idea across. Because this is an emergency situation. They just need to make the message. Nobody's gonna hop on a microphone for this. It just needs to be, make it, get it out there, and digital acceptable. These images are acceptable because of the situation, because of the time. The context works. This is how you actually effectively do this kind of thing for an emergency broadcast system alert in your horror series that you're billing as analog. Right now, what we're looking at here, really can't call that analog. But who cares? Okay? Because we understand that this is not analog. This is digital crafting for the situation and the storytelling right here, right now, for these circumstances. It actually works. This is another point of lesson for people to learn from. This is how you fucking do it. Understand the context and then deliver accordingly. You have to think about it. You've got to think about it. You cannot just sell me on this idea of whatever it is that you want to say and then use whatever assets that you want to cook up together and slap it together and just ignore the fact that it doesn't look according to the time or the circumstances. Do better. Follow the code of context and character resources and mindset for a situation. That's how you sell it. Good work here. Tower Mom's correct about this too. One of the biggest things I've seen is modern analog horror being produced by kids who didn't live through the analog age, and they don't do it well because they don't have that memory, that jumping off point. Fully agreed. Totally agree on that point. They're in love with the idea of what came before them, but they won't look up what the media was actually like to try and recreate that. And it would be such a rewarding experience if they did. They would grow as creators. They would evolve. They would get all the nice little elements of working in the video editor and that tasty, delicious feeling of, I got it right. And, oh, let me beat up that footage a little bit more. Let me make that perfectly blurry. Like, oh, that's too much, that's too little, and there's that sweet spot. There's such a satisfaction to all of this that I think a lot of young creators are skipping out on because they just want to get the work out there. They're so excited about the idea of people seeing their work that they're not excited enough about making the work. That's incorrect. These kids can't be thinking all the time about the views that they might get putting something out under the billing of analog horror. They need to be thinking about how awesome it will be to create this stuff and have fun with it and learn how to make amazing stuff. These values need to be taught more than any idea of audience gathering or coverage by some channel. The craft rather than the reception. Thank you, Nox Prof. That's exactly it. Like this era that we've been in for a little while now, this air of people getting high as fuck off the idea of making something, putting it out there under the billing of analog horror, and then getting covered by X, Y, or Z and being a hot thing for a minute, this has got to stop. Because the focus has shifted from craft to reception. Just like Nox Prof just said. They care more about the attention than they care about the art. And I know it doesn't have to be that way, because it came from a place of loving the art in the first place and being inspired and being all jazzed off it. So I say cash in on that emotionally, creatively, for your evolution, for your growth. Allow it to drive you to become better. That's how you know you're on a true creator's path, is when you want to serve the art more than you want to be seen. And we all want to be seen. You're not a villain for wanting to be seen. That is a component of this. You're fucking lying if you say otherwise. You want at least 5 people to give a shit. If you're on the absolute most virtue-laden path about it. But it can never take precedence over the desire to make great art.
Immediately get indoors. Please turn off all lights. Please turn off your television. Cover your windows. Emergency services will not be available during curfew. If a swarm enters your home, wrap yourself in as many blankets as possible. This is for your safety. Protect yourself from the swarm. You are safe in the dark.
It's getting dark. I told you those bastards at Northshore weren't any good. Even though it's daytime, we stay out of the woods. I've heard a few people have gotten eaten up trying to get through the woods. Best not disturb them, you know. I got my family out. I stayed behind to show people what we were dealing with here. When night comes, I find the best spots to tub. I wrap myself in blankets and just pray for daytime to get here as fast as it can. Not that it'll do much good. What they don't tell you is they can smell you, they can hear you. They want you, they gonna get you.
This is so good to see. This is really, it's so simple, but it's so effective. Thank you for including this portion. It's just a survivor in the scenario filming, because this is a truly unique, unprecedented situation that it must be recorded. This really makes sense. And here's some backup too from JJ Romaine 15. Nick, I'm from Louisiana, and this shit is real, especially during the summer. The mosquitoes are so bad we have to stay indoors, and it's terrifying. So we have a situation that you guys actually experience in Louisiana, taken to its more extreme, almost pandemic-like situation in this horror scenario, which is great thinking. And it's resonating with people who have experienced anything like it, like you. That's a great job done from a creator. Making art that resonates with a human experience, even if it is amped up to sci-fi or horror situation. Right Foot Rabbit, welcome on in. Thank you for chiming in, saying there's certainly some merit in the ability to open up to an audience, though. I have piles of art that I've created, and I'm missing the ability they have to share. Suppose there is some healthy equilibrium of both. Yeah, eventually, you gotta get something out there. Point blank, you will never achieve perfect. And you don't want to, because if you're consistently getting better, then there's no ceiling. You can keep on doing wow over and over again. And that's beautiful. See, perfection is not this level that's like a cap in a video game where you are maxed out 100% everything. Because what happens when you do that? There's nowhere higher to go. We always want to go higher. We always want to do more. And that's awesome. But you're never going to hit perfection. You're not even going to be as ready as you truly want to be when you make something. but you have to trust yourself and the job that you have done well enough to just put it out there. And then you learn, you gain information. You get either affirmation or information, and often you get both. And then you use that to get better, and you continuously improve. So, if you've got art that's stacked up, it's okay. Release it, even if you don't feel that you're ready. If you've done what you can with it, and you feel that emotionally you are ready to actually advocate for yourself by beginning to put things out there, you've got to do that. You got to do it. And you may surprise yourself, but that's how it works, okay? You're going to get affirmation and you're going to get information, all right? I was not ready when I made Marble Hornets Explained. I made myself as ready as possible, knowing it still was not top shelf work, but it was what I could do to the best of my ability, the highest I could go, you know? JFall93, thanks for speaking up here too. The thing I really like about the Swarm is that it shows that you don't need to be good at drawing or have a high production value to make a good analog horror. A majority of the footage is clearly stock/free use, especially for the new segments, but it still gets its story across. Yes. Yes. And using stock stuff or things other people have made or templates is always still better than using generative AI. It will always be better than using prompt bullshit, because a human being made it, and then a human being is actually using it and thinking with it and cutting and pasting and remixing and doing what they can with it. The human hand is in it.
Alright, well, it's about that time. Time to turn out the lights and pray for daylight. Wish me luck. I'm wrapped up in the covers. Can't sleep. Who the hell wants to wake up with something eating on you? I'd rather see it coming. I'm gonna try to keep sending tapes out. Let people know what we're dealing with here. I know the government's doing the best they can. They're trying to get us out as fast as they can, but it's just too many of us. And they gotta be careful too. I mean, they don't want to get eaten up either. They got families too.
That was an effective hit. Wow. Oh. Yeah, this is insane. Wow, bloodless. Rhiannon says, I can only imagine how miserable this is. Living in the south, it gets hot, so being wrapped up in blankets would be awful, especially since if you're that hot, you can't sleep. Yeah. That was a very well played hit. Because all the way along, we've been learning about this situation, right? And we've been seeing it in little bits and pieces, very detached, just kind of observing from our emotional third party. And then we actually get a human being in the situation, just doing what the human being can, trying to keep a record, and then bang! Our one character we were able to get an empathetic foothold with ends up like this. And we learn new information. Bloodless, sucked dry by a swarm of mosquitoes who bite like snakes. Ah, hell of a hit. Salute for Robert. Salute for Robert. He was just doing his best. Oh, now, what was Julia's last name from the Tangi Virus? Were these any of the doctors involved in the Tangi Virus video? Williams? Okay. So, these are not those personnel. Okay. Genetically engineered advanced Tangibahoa encephalitis. Uh-huh. Yep. A variant of the Tangi Virus. I feel it is imperative to point out the obvious. Advanced Tangibahoa encephalitis was only discovered a little over a decade ago. Documented cases of infection were quite horrific. If this fact was known publicly, the political fallout would be catastrophic. I may be in the minority, but I'm going to be imploring the board to postpone field tests as there's quite a lot we don't understand about this potentially lethal virus. Yep, here's your confirmation. So the effects have really devastated this area. If this was Oracle's doing, then Oracle foresaw this situation. And maybe that was the point. Not just ravage the area and cause a whole lot of death to whoever is actually controlled by the alien virus, but make it such a hellhole that few people will ever return to the area. That there's a persistent threat within it to ensure that it's just going to be annihilated. Because what happened in the aftermath? Lethal amounts of pesticide. On top of that, we had controlled burns, which probably would have caught strains of the virus. Yeah, Oracle did not play. And 5 years later, it's still trying to develop itself again. The area. So now we're up to 2008. D. Luckiest says, let's recap. Tangi Virus bent the area over a log for a hot minute before Oracle cured it and began conquering the internet. Then a sentient Sinkhole elder god had a light snack before sending out a messenger. Also, the cure Oracle used was an actual plague and scorched earth. Basically, yeah, whole thing is haunted Louisiana at this point. Can someone summarize in like a sentence what the fuck Oracle is? An early actual AI within the story that was very like 1950s, 1960s sci-fi idea of it. Supercomputer, which then gave the rundown on all of the supernatural and horror scenario threats existing on the Earth at that time that would wipe out humanity collectively within 100 years. And then it joined forces with the guy who built it, who helped build it. And then Oracle decided it would become the protector of humanity by becoming the internet and then making choices for humanity in its path of destroying all of its enemies. A very protective parent.
Residents of Independence and North Tangipahoa celebrate returning to their homes after evacuating the area 7 years ago. However, despite the festivities, many former residents have claimed that they will not be returning from fear that the genetically altered mosquitoes have not been completely eradicated. Many are concerned that the north side of the parish will never return to what it was prior to 2001.
I really like this one. It's very mixed media. It used quite a bit of sources in order to convey its story, and it felt good. It felt like it was accepting the challenge of what was ahead of it for what it needed to do, and it incorporated original footage that I think was very effective. Really added to the humanity of the piece and the believability. It also, if we have been following along and you know about Oracle, you can guess this probably was Oracle's doing. You also gain the sense that as much as it absolutely annihilated this area, it was for humanity's own good. Because a lot of those people who ended up in the body count were not human anymore. It's not so, because death is not what they want. The alien swarm does not want death. It wants control, it wants infection. So for this to happen, that was not the outcome desired. It had to be an outside force with the secret intent to just decimate Tangipahoa. And it really worked. Now around 2008, of course, some people started coming back to the area, but enough damage seemed to have been done during the time that it really worked out to humanity's benefit, unless we find out later that was not the case. This was a good one, though. I really do feel good about it. There's obvious high points that I did stop and really jump on for like 4 minutes. But hey, I had to. I've got to shout out the good shit when it happens. Okay. 1 hour and 25 minutes. Alright, so this one is Trypophobia Safe, which I would be okay with the uncensored version, but you know, we're a whole crowd here, and my general thing that I have found through doing my work as a horror host online is that I do help make things safe for people to enjoy horror. And you know what? I'm enjoying riding along with everybody here. He used generative AI for this one. Okay, wait. I asked for the context next on the generative AI. I've said elsewhere and in previous exploration nights that by and large, this is not a practice that anyone in the arts can or should support, with extremely few exceptions based on context and utilization. Case by case, we need to see what the use actually is, and on an overview in the current climate, it's about... Well, at the time I said 95% disagreeable, 5% agreeable, but after reviewing my own stance since, I realized that's not even true. It's 99-1. Because my true preference would be no use at all due to the existential threat to artists and performers that it came out of the gate being and very much still is. And I've got literally 2 cases so far of approving the use, one of which is because it used generative AI to make fun of its disgusting nature as the entire point. So... I largely rest on the side of generative AI's use stopping at the level of procedural generation in video games, or, say, algorithmic crafting of conceptual CGI for building projects or computer-assisted drafting purposes as workflow-enhancing engineering stuff, guided by the educated hand of someone in a career using it as a tool. I guess the too long didn't read version is that the only time I see AI fitting in creative capacities is when it's not actually artificial intelligence at all, once you read past the ad company promo, or it's purely assisting the work of a person still operating in a job. The answer about generative AI use here was that it was representing the symptoms of the itch, which I expected. Difficult to show physical symptoms of a mystery horror disease if you're not a makeup artist or CGI artist who's great with organic work, sure. But resorting to this isn't an answer in my opinion, especially when the creator's strengths have been on display all this time in working with just text, audio, and the visuals they could gather. We discussed the difference between generative AI and the current array of software options in video, photo, and audio editors that are being sold as AI touches but aren't really artificial intelligence at all, and how companies don't realize how much they're ruining their own reputation trying to sell new advances in programming like that. Use of tools to achieve vision is always acceptable, so long as the tool is assisting in the doing, rather than taking on the doing. Okay, so Northshore Research gets shut down in 2001. There's an extensive audit of its files and research was performed. The following is a series of documents, videos, and pictures centered on the St. Roch quarantine of '98. So we're going to a different area now. Despite hundreds dying, history considers the quarantine a huge success. The supposed efforts of Northshore Research eradicated the itch and saved many lives. Their role in the quarantine and developing a cure led to their premier status in the Southeast Louisiana community. Unfortunately, it seems Northshore Research enjoyed a reputation they didn't deserve. So that's the blurb. Interesting. St. Roch Quarantine, File 1. The alert was first issued on January 10, 98 at 8:15 on all channels in Southeast Louisiana, 3 hours after state and local officials became aware of the Omega Helminths, the itch. It was broadcasted at the top of every hour for all 28 days of quarantine. It is important to note that at this point, details on the Omega Helminths? Alright, hold on. If there's a direct... Because now I'm getting the pronunciation thing. Is it Helminths? Helminths? Mistype the A as an I. Hemaliths? Unless this is a type of... Helminth. We'll call it Helminth. Details on the Omega Helminths were few. Many still believe that the illness was a fungus or virus.
Regional alert, this is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Primary entry system issued an emergency action notification for the town of St. Roch and the surrounding communities. Effective immediately, exits 47, 48, 49, 50 and 51 off Interstate 12 will be blocked off. In addition, Highway 22 will be blocked off at the Tangipahoa Parish and City of Slidell borders due to a mandatory quarantine. Check with your local governments for alternative routes. This is not a test. Effective immediately, exits 47, 48, 49, 50 and 51 off Interstate 12 will be blocked off. In addition, Highway 22 will be blocked off at the Tangipahoa Parish and City of Slidell borders due to a mandatory quarantine. Stay tuned to your local news outlet for more information.
Okay. I'm just kind of looking ahead a bit here because we can have text-heavy entries, but it's got to be compelling. Like, you really can't waste your time here. It's got to be a thoroughly enjoyable experience. So, like, putting aside any way we had a mood going into this, like, shaking that off, I'm just kicking back here waiting for this to get a hook for me. And that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm kind of waiting for that. The following is a digital copy of Dr. Christopher Wells' patient notes for Scott Griffin. The accompanying voice is computer generated.
We placed Mr. Griffin in the infectious disease ward, where we bound him to his bed. During transport to the hospital, he ripped the skin from his forearm. I could literally see bone. It surprised me at how little he bled. Once we arrived at the hospital, patient claimed that during a routine expedition, they discovered what they thought was a new species. The unnamed specimen was harvested and brought on board to be studied. When unloading the specimen, he claimed that a white discharge from the animal touched his right forearm, prescribed a series of powerful antihistamines and steroids. Unfortunately, it did very little to help Mr. Griffin's situation. Sheriff Lane wanted to question the patient, so we used the telephones as a makeshift intercom. I took notes of the conversation.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give this one to Michael. The OG ARG side of me says, if you're going to have transcripts and documents, actually have the transcripts and documents. It doesn't all need to be in video. Although I admit that's a choice of medium. And I'm still going to side with you on that one. Right, so remember what I was saying earlier about how if you keep on going with this stuff, you need to keep on being creative in new ways. It can't just be story if you're going to do things along this path. Because it's not like live action, where it's understood of we're here with a camera, and the events we see on camera need to be cool and compelling as well as the story. The ways that you take us around with the camera need to be cool and compelling, and the things that are caught on it. When it's like this, it needs to be different. You need to pull out new tricks. And what Michael is saying here, I'm gonna side with him on this one, where it would be more effective to show us documents, mock-ups of things. You know, and the voice readout for this, I'm not so hot on.
Brought on board to be studied. When unloading the specimen, he claimed that a white discharge from the animal touched his right forearm, prescribed a series of powerful antihistamines and steroids. Unfortunately, it did very little to help Mr. Griffin's situation. Sheriff Lane wanted to question the patient, so we used the telephones as a makeshift intercom.
It's also very clashing here to have the text be entirely different than for a good amount of the time anyway, from what it is that we're hearing with the voice, the TikTok AI voice, yeah, the voiceover stuff is an issue that that's a whole thing unto itself. That's a spaghetti ball that I'm not even going to begin untangling here. The more so, the very anybody can experience this issue is that difference between what's on the screen and what's being read. But then the argument comes up of, well, then what would even be the purpose of having it on screen if you're having it read out? Well, the entire purpose of that is that a lot of people probably just put this stuff on while they work on art or do something else.
I took notes of the conversation. The patient received 2 milliliters of epinephrine, and after 30 minutes, the hives receded to his skin. And I think he was sent home.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring this up too. Like there are some who are saying, including Dire Beast Rex, there are so many folks who would voice act this stuff. And Fiverr exists. Here's something I really need to impress upon people. I've said it before, I will say it again. I'm going to keep on saying it as long as I need to say it, actually. As a voice director who has had to choose people to pull onto a project for the needs of the person I am working with to make sure that their project gets a roster filled, it means more to have your work out there showing that you are actually doing things and your ability, no matter what the hell it is or if a job was free. Nobody wants to work for free, necessarily, in concept, until you actually talk to people who need to start building a resume. Because yes, a lot of them will work for free very gladly if you give them the opportunity to build a body of work and get started. Especially if you've got something going on. Like for a project like this, you've got pedigree. You're out there, man. You're building up work. You can just go ahead and just open the floor or look out there and see how to grab people for stuff. And then you gain a whole new skill set yourself in working with voice actors and then building out a network of contacts while giving them a chance. I have had people hired through their work in unfiction. I've seen other people get opportunities because of their work in unfiction. It doesn't all have to be paid jobs. This could have gone to a person. Honestly, this could have gone to a human being who then would have been able to use that for a portfolio, for a reel, just to get started. Everybody needs a start. Yes, it can be free. If you're really that hard up for cash, for your personal passion project online, just come open honestly. I'm doing this thing. I know I've got some traction. It doesn't exactly bring in money. I can't really pay you. Would you be willing to do this anyway and you get full credit? You would be shocked how many people tell you, yes, oh my god, I'd be delighted, I understand. What do you have for a script? What are your needs? Let's get going. Literally just ask people. You don't need to do this AI stuff. You can literally just ask. It's okay. If you are honest from the start, it's okay.
Quarantine anyone he's been in contact with, examine them, and possibly alert the CDC. I can expedite the tests, but please, find those people. Unfortunately, we were too late. By the
Not to mention, here's a big point for you. I got bigger for a big point, haha. A lot of beginning voice actors are not truly trained yet. They don't have the experience yet to really guide their voices for more serious work. So they have that amateur edge which works perfectly for a project where you have been injecting camp all along, harkening back to the days of anybody and everybody making movies and just getting into it, and all of them having a touch of amateur to their work. It would fit the bill. The style would be a match, so it would have been the better course of action. It really is that easy. It's okay to ask people.
Mr. Griffin's wife, Suzanne, called at 11, stating that the patient got extremely ill on his way to the follow-up appointment. They pulled over to the St. Roch gas station. On his way to the bathroom, his cysts popped. The patient got extremely agitated and demanded to be returned home. My nurse has made repeated calls, but there has been no answer. I will stop by his home after work.
I'm also thinking about how much fun you could have had here with the audio of learning how to do like a recorded effect, like on a tape player or something, for all of the voiceover work. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing here, guys? Well, let's see. We have a slightly smeary look, as well as the telltale symptom of not exactly being completely sure what the hell you're seeing at certain points. Like the eye can't really catch a foothold. The tap is especially heinous. Criteria. Any moment in which you could have actually used a real photograph or illustration instead of resorting to this, that's a strike. Therefore, when it comes to this entry, we are skipping it in its entirety. Sorry, can't do it. This right here, this kind of use right here is unacceptable. And to be frank, with everything else going on in here, I feel like it's just too much of all the same stuff. I'm not seeing or sensing innovation enough in the way things are rolling to commit to an hour and 25 minutes of this. It's actually giving me far more waves of the worst in analog horror that is out here than it is earning my faith, as so many moments before have done all along. I can't. No, we're gonna swipe on this. So now, Sleepwalker, found footage movie. All right, we have to put the itch in the bin. Now we're on to this. You have an opportunity here to impress the fuck out of me, and I sincerely hope you do. Let's go. Bravo. Oh my god. Hold on a sec. I want to see the actual timeline of events here. Okay, Sleepwalker found footage movie. 40K Q&A. What is all this? Wow, what's with all the live action?
And here we are, the 40K Q&A. I gotta tell you, I never thought I'd make it this far. I can still remember starting out with 6 subscribers on this channel. Come for the Tangi Virus, stay for the rest. And that means you've been here a while. Appreciate it. What makes it...
See, the reason I wanted to take a look at this here, is because I'm getting a feeling. Oh, Tyler Novak says, it's worth noting that the Sleepwalker series is an actual movie that's been sliced into parts of the channel. Vintage 8 has a video on their channel that actually lists out the series' entire timeline. Right. What I wanted to say, though... Wow, that itch thing went on for ages, huh? Oh, yeah, I see. So, the funny thing about this is like, okay, it goes through all of these itch videos. Horror, action, martial arts. You were playing around with live action. You were actually already doing that before you got into this itch stuff. Okay, so you proved the live action work. The Human Trial, 007 Digital Horror. Yeah, you were proven all along your live action stuff, which sacrilege. Yeah, the Children Under the House appeared before the itch too. Holy crap. There's so much stuff that was being made here. Okay, this proves my analogy even more. What I wanted to say, going from the itch to Married to a Sleepwalker is like, imagine somebody who's doing a pretty good job with what they're choosing to eat for breakfast all the time, right? They have their breakfast, it's pretty decent. Sometimes they make poor choices, sometimes they make greater choices, and it's really healthy stuff. And then one time they just decide, you know what? I think I'm just gonna have some freaking kids type cereal and milk every morning because breakfast is a lot. Breakfast is a lot. I need it fast, I need it quick. And so they go and they do that. And they live like that for a week. And they feel so disgusted. It's like, fuck that. Full healthy. Steak and eggs, cooked things, organic packages that marked organic, and I'll have some fruit juice in the morning with it too. And that's what the found footage Sleepwalker series is here. It's like, did all that AI nastiness and boredom with the itch and just went, oh, I feel awful, you can't be healthy now. Boom, live action work. Like, so revolted by everything that was just done. It's like, no, I can't, I'm not doing that again. That was a terrible experiment. Yes, full detox, Direbeast Rex is just said. You're right. Full detox, let's get healthy. Never again. Never again. Awful. That was a bad choice. Full detox. Snaffler says, as a 30-year-old, I tried reliving my childhood diet for a day, and I felt disgusting for the following 4 days. Oh, God, yeah. Can you imagine getting up and the thing that you eat for breakfast is a fucking Pop-Tart? Oh, man. That's what this comes across like. I'm down. I'm with it. This is it. This is how you level up as a creator. This is how you do it.
Every morning I find Shelly right here. As you can see, we have this spot marked. That's because she's always in the same spot, never different. She's always looking at the sky. I have no idea what she could be looking at.
Oh, and that camera. Man, I'm jealous. I want that camera. The things I could film with a camera like that, bro.
Wake up, sweetie. Hey, wake up.
Good morning, honey.
How many bites?
A few.
I'll probably try that new spray later. Maybe put up the zapper. There you go.
Look at the security cameras here mounted around too. Like one on the wall right above the TV, one in the corner of the room. And we've seen it throughout the house. This is awesome work right out the gates for live action stuff. We have all the security cameras pointed out to us and the footage and the effects on it to go ahead and mark it's coming from there. We have the handheld camera. We understand that this is a highly recorded scenario from all these different angles. We understand why. And there's going to be a bit of cinematic setup that is observable. You know, it's not hardcore leading into you're only going to use the shots from all of these pieces, but it is conveying that idea, is that much of what we see will be presented from those lenses. And again, what an evolution for a creator. Way to step up to the challenge of creativity here and go forward. Fuck yeah. I'm about it. Love to see it. Again, it just keeps showing through. People who start in analog horror eventually get sick of being stuck there and want better. They want more. They embrace the challenge of going to higher places. And I love it. I never want that to stop. They get a taste for that little bit and they realize they're capable of better. Good.
Alright. So, sweetie, how long would you say this has been going on?
2.5 years, 2 months, 3 weeks, and 1 day.
And before that, did you ever have problems sleepwalking as a child, or sleeping for that matter?
No, never.
And what about in the family? Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, any of them have any problems sleeping?
Not that I can remember.
What about the first time it happened? You recall anything weird or out of the ordinary?
Not really. It was just after you got out of the hospital, maybe a week or so. I do remember the first time I woke up outside. That was scary. It's not something that you just forget. Make sure you take care of the backyard.
We are in the first days of summer, and an elderly man is the latest victim from complications due to the Livingston virus, or LV as commonly called, making him the 26th reported case in the state. Despite its uptick in cases, authorities have maintained that contacting the disease is very rare, and developing encephalitis from the virus even rarer. Most who contract the disease present only mild to no symptoms at all. Still, caution is advised, as it is unclear why some individuals develop fatal complications from the virus.
What the hell you doing?
Hopefully preventing mosquitoes.
Hope you kept your receipt.
Got good reviews online, so.
I'm telling you, pissing in the grass with you just the same. Don't want to get bit? You stay inside and you keep it cold. Gone to the bank in the AM. Be around 8 to get the rent.
I'll have it.
That's good. Why your wife out here so early in the morning?
Exercise, I guess.
Standing still is exercising? Last few days, I reckon. Standing right about there. Looking kind of odd until you come fetch her with that odd-looking camera of yours.
Look, she sleepwalks.
Ain't got no medicine for that?
We just don't understand why she's doing...
Contagious?
No. God, no. It's just...
One of those head things. I got you. To do me a favor. You keep that over here. Because I ain't got no problem keeping this place empty. Got me?
Yeah. I got you.
That's good. Be here in the AM.
I don't think this needs to be in the video. It feels...
Yeah, no, this is not found footage. Now it incorporates found footage, but that's exactly what I was alluding to earlier. Is this is cinematic, which at points will be taking cues and viewpoints from the cameras within the story setting. Because no, there was no way in hell that you can actually justify this under the security camera lens. Clearly, that's what they were trying to do. You guys can barely see it from your angle, but I can tell you that it's got some of that CCTV banding look across it that's been placed, as well as the black and white, in order to sell the idea that it is the surveillance footage. There is no universe in which that is accurate for this situation with how they are standing.
Private.
I want it in there.
Here, babe, why don't you let me do it?
I got it. This little voice inside my head keeps telling me that this is just a waste of money. But we gotta keep trying, right? No one said that making a baby would be easy.
So I have cameras all over the house. Different points of views for both inside and out. So hopefully I won't miss anything, which means you guys watching won't miss anything either. Our hope is that somebody out there will see these videos and maybe reach out to us. I mean, we can't be the only ones going through this. So if you're out there, please let us know. Maybe we can help each other. Swap some ideas. Hopefully figure this thing out. Anyways, till then, this is Married to a Sleepwalker, signing off.
Are you almost done?
Yeah, babe, give me just a minute.
Well, I'm ready.
Ready?
To go make some
Ready
other
for-
videos.
Ready for that. Maybe not share everything.
So I have to sleep on top of this thing?
Exactly. So when you get up, hopefully the alarm will go off, and that'll be enough to jolt you awake. At least keep you from spending the night outside for a change.
Well, that would be great. No more rainwater in my mouth. Why didn't we think about this sooner?
Actually, we didn't. Somebody who saw the first video online suggested it. Mr. Goldfish Superfan 97.
The power of social media. Well, thank you, Mr. Goldfish Superfan 97.
Jelly? Thanks, Mr. Goldfish Superfan.
The eye is calling. He can't hear it, but the evil whale song is floating through the air. Oh, different spot. Okay, now. I do love the camera that they're using here. Color grading is good.
Are you sure it's coming from me?
I'm positive.
I don't even think that I could recreate that. Let's try.
Oh!
Okay, that wasn't even close.
Ooh!
I can't even do that.
I heard it with my own ears. It's right there on the monitor.
Well, put it back from when I first walked outside. Why did I turn around right there?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Is it the pesticide? Might be the pesticide.
Is your hand okay?
That's fine. So look, I was thinking, maybe we should share this with Dr. Lopez.
Why? He's just gonna say that sleepwalkers do weird shit and he's gonna overcharge us for our time.
Okay, so then let's get a new doctor.
No.
Why not? You know I don't like him, and obviously you don't like him.
What are you trying to say? You having second thoughts?
No, of course not. I mean, this is as much my idea as it is yours, right? I mean, if it wasn't for the cameras, we wouldn't know half of what's going on. But I need to know what happens if this doesn't work, or if things continue to get worse.
It's gonna work.
Of course it is. But what if we don't find anything?
Well, then, I guess we will just have plenty to show Dr. Lopez, okay? Okay, it's gonna work.
Dr. Lopez is an ass.
Neurological disorders, seizures, some fertility drugs. Any number of medical issues can cause sleepwalking. But I don't think that's the case here. I think we're dealing with anxiety. Pure and simple. Shelley's sleepwalking begins and ends with her husband. He almost died from LV, but I think it's Shelley who hasn't recovered.
I was the second in the state to survive complications. At my worst, the doctors gave me a 10% chance. I don't think I would have made it if it wasn't for Shelley.
I think we're dealing with anxiety, pure and simple, because let's look at the facts. She lost a child. She almost lost her husband. Financial trouble. The stress of the condition itself. That can take a toll on any person, and I think we're dealing with all of the above. My recommendation is that Shelley gets psychiatric care, but it's important to remember that this is not a quick fix.
Shelley was a month pregnant when the sleepwalking started. She lost the child on the second morning. We've been trying to get pregnant ever since. This illness has cost us our money, our house. It's cost us everything. I don't like videoing our lives, but I feel like it's the only way to somehow find a way to get back the life we should have had.
So clearly we've got to be dealing with some kind of mutation of the Tangi Virus here, right? That's what I'm picking up anyway, is that it's a mutation of Tangi Virus that cost them the pregnancy. The husband survived whatever he contracted from the mosquitoes, but she has been affected to some degree by some strain of it, and has managed to succumb to a certain degree as well. She doesn't seem to be entirely overtaken. This is new behavior that we are witnessing here when it comes to those who have been infected. Oh. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, Shelly, come check this out.
What you got?
What do you think that is, right there?
What am I looking for?
You don't see that person right there in the background?
No, I don't see it. Come on. Don't you think if someone was standing there that we would have noticed? And if that is a person, then I feel really sorry for them if they don't have something better to do.
Maybe it's Mr. Kate.
That's actually a scary thought. Okay, is that how this is gonna go? From now on, we let the internet decide?
Hey, apparently now, every important decision is decided on the internet.
Well, good luck with that.
All right, babe.
I'm gonna go take a shower and then I'm going to bed.
All right, I'm gonna come set everything up after I check the email, okay? Another bullshit video. Yeah, thank you. Next, Carol B. Carol, why don't you tie her down? Short answer, we did.
Let me go! Let me go!
I think you gotta take me to a hospital.
There you go.
And that's why we don't handcuff Shelly. But a good thought. All right. One more email here. This one's from Mary Q. My husband's been sleepwalking for the better part of 3 years, only meaner when he wakes up. Place padlocks on the doors, then hide the key. Let us know your results. Mary. Yes, finally. All right. I knew there had to be someone else dealing with something similar.
Okay.
I'd love to chat, email, phone, your call. Talk soon. We'll give this a try.
Well, there you go, chat. You got your answer. It's interesting as a live action kind of project here because this is an interesting approach that they're taking. You know what? Hold on. Let me... No, the analog horror video created by Vintage 8. No, it's not analog horror. You literally have all of this hooked up to it be play. I mean, is it an analog tape that you got running in the handheld camera? Is it all going to footage? Is the surveillance camera footage all going to tape and then being put on the computer? Because if you can't tell me yes, then it's not analog horror. It's not. This is just a horror situation with touches of found footage. Mockumentary. It's SEO. What can you do? What can I do? I can call it out and mark it for what it is. Because no, it's not. People so scared to say digital horror. For fucking real. I mean, it's...
The next segment requires summarizing instead of stream of consciousness speech as I originally conveyed it. It needs my usual thought processes to serve as anything resembling a good address of the topic. It's an important matter, and I don't want things to be missing from the picture. I've loved, explored, and proudly praised analog horror projects on Nightmind and during my streams. It's often been an exciting subgenre with entries made by several creators for several great reasons, many of them clearly passionate, enthusiastic, and well-intentioned in their use of the approach. This is not about any of those creators or their dedicated, effort-backed, quality work. We know who they are, we applaud them, we appreciate them, and always will celebrate them as artists and teachers. And the inspiration they've given to others is one of the very objectives I pursue in presenting anything on Nightmind. There are major issues affecting analog horror as a whole and affecting unfiction through them, and analog horror community members who love this subgenre must take notice. There is a serious trend of several projects now delivering themselves right out the gate with very public billing as analog horror as a marketing scheme. It's been done in the past, but it's become a larger and more obvious issue than it used to be. There are those who do it because they only want the attention and search engine optimization for what they know isn't analog horror at all, to those who are afraid to present their stories without that titling lest they be completely ignored. The amount of activity I've seen indicates a developing culture of trend adoption and fear-based decision-making that hurts artistic development and teaches young creators the worst lessons about making art. Oversaturation is not only here, it's been here, and it's not just the amount of tier list and iceberg videos for analog horror projects that indicate this, but the sheer volume of new series that have been recommended to me by YouTube out of nowhere with analog horror directly in the titles of videos, and how much coverage keeps occurring on channels overly focusing on this subgenre when the attention can be cast to a wider scope of very deserving and deeply exciting internet storytelling projects. This goes beyond a matter of people who make this work just wanting analog horror appreciators to find them clearly. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is the shocking desperation in what I've seen to be immediately witnessed as an analog horror project and lumped into the pool because of search term strength, fueled by audiences who have been conditioned to look up exactly that term if they want to enjoy horror online. And I have YouTube's own tools to prove it. On YouTube, in studio mode, there's an inspiration tab to help you see what your viewers are looking for. On Nightmind, within the first 4 immediate suggestions, YouTube shows me the direct search term analog horror videos. On Nightmind Live, this very channel, when I open the inspiration tab, I'll see 2 direct project lookups of the term analog horror, and 1 general search, analog horror games no commentary. That's what YouTube is telling me audiences are typing into the search bar. That's what they're looking for. Analog horror, even in game form, minus any human being playing it to provide analysis or feedback, just the stimulation on screen. It's not even indie horror games anymore as a search term, it's analog horror games now. When the entire balance of audience interest in an art field shifts towards one singular mode of expression over all others, the result is suffering, depression, lack of inspiration, copycat behavior, and defeatism for artists who don't want to make that work and are trying their hardest to exist. Those artists either quit or conform to the order of the day, and the art field stagnates into decline. The excessive attention and content generation based on analog horror has contributed to a grave misbalance that's created this very situation for so many creators looking to present new ideas. I've taken a look at these projects advertising themselves as fresh analog horror offerings. I've had nights of feeding the recommendation algorithm to see exactly what's going on. And time and time and time again, it's the same mixture of elements and approaches seen anywhere else, most of it flying over the point of analog media. Even if you threw that out and we collectively decided analog horror is actually about a style, forget the tech, never mind the tech, it's an aesthetic and a style, and never mind it being faithful to its sources or time periods, there are still so many projects that are just copying another's approach or remixing the work of several that made loads of views and offering stories that are paint by numbers or fill in the blanks. Many of them ignoring calls to action to even try a show of strength and videoability or deliver the style marks. At best, they're predictable, boring, and too reminiscent of more popular projects, and there are dozens of them being uploaded around the clock. I get suggestions for meme videos about this entire subgenre too, because this is the point the problem has grown to. People can meme on it as a whole subgenre. They can throw one stone and see it bounce off 27 heads before it falls and do it on 5 different factors of commonality. dozens of predictable, formulaic remixes of remixes, and so many now purposely throwing that material into the public eye with analog horror written somewhere in the title, thumbnail, video description, you name it. This practice extends to work that isn't even pretending to have anything to do with analog media, analog tech, or even the very style set that you can point at and say that's analog horror, which is what illustrates the depth of the problem and how this term and subgenre is breaking down into the state of a marketing scheme. And who's engaging with it like that? When it's not creators who are scared they'll be completely ignored trying anything else in this environment. It's those who are focused on attention rather than artistry or application. And it's very easy to see with the volume of low-effort, low-inspiration projects out there shouting about being a new analog horror series, rather than presenting a bold new approach and standing proudly by it. But bold new approaches are rare, because the oversaturation of major attention on this mode of expression and lack of critical analysis for the quality and structure of new offerings has generated an atmosphere of quiet emotional subjugation that's hurting our artists. So what's creating these issues? Probably the same culprit we've seen with mascot horror and backrooms projects. A very strong overfocus on the fact that it gets views, it gets coverage. It's been getting that attention for a while based on the term alone, and everyone knows that. This whole talk began because of the multiple algorithm and search engine optimization comments that rolled in one after another as soon as I spotted analog horror in the description of an upload that absolutely doesn't fit the bill. But it doesn't matter to some that their work is mimicry and half-baked if being analog horror means they can ride the coattails of the projects that actually care to put in quality work before them. Or, much worse, riding the coattails of the projects that have received major attention while being what nobody wants to admit. Average, incompetent, and poor quality outside singular moments of impressive artistry that play very well in YouTube thumbnails, which is the only criteria for some. The criteria should be love and drive to serve the art to the highest of one's ability with dedication to evolution and greatest potential. But the heart in this has been very lacking as of late, leaving only a hunger to produce the next big hit as fast as possible. I am entirely aware that a good amount of these projects are novice work, often done by young people attempting things for the first time. Excellence is not expected or held as a standard for beginning attempts. And to those who are just starting out, we encourage and applaud them with understanding and patience. But the work that is transparently centered around being seen as a new analog horror entry just to gain audience, and very much a remix of something else or co-adoption of existing stories, must be seen and understood as a consequence of the climate. Without standards for the quality and great examples of projects featured on influential channels in an array of varied coverage, the result is a handful of repeated lessons to novice creators, especially the young ones, that whatever they're seeing is all they have to do to make it big, and the impression is made that analog horror is the only thing that will get them support or recognition. This is extremely stifling and damaging to growing creators, and the most unscrupulous, attention-obsessed people know this is a growth hack or a higher pickup chance for attention and seek it out on both sides, project creation and project coverage. And those who don't have faith in their story surviving this climate conform to it and then push the term as visibly as they can just to have a fighting chance. The third group affected negatively are those who are so indoctrinated in this environment that they simply can't imagine doing anything else, because they've received no true exposure to anything else, so it's all they make. That absence of awareness for other ideas and modes of expression leaves them malnourished and weakens them as an artist and an entire field of art at scale. The directing of audiences to appreciate this mode of expression as the dominant and algorithmically approved form in online storytelling, whether intentional or not, must end. If any artist in development right now think the only chance they have for anyone to care about their story is to box themselves into this style and label it very visibly as analog horror like it's a product on a store shelf, I will be as adamant about awareness for this issue as I need to be until those artists understand they don't have to live that way in order to be seen and cared about. It is not fair for them to live in a climate that intimidates them into obedience to a certain style. And when it comes to putting in effort, dedication, and seeking quality and unique approaches for the evolution and betterment of artists and the entire field, I'm going to continue being as Nick Nocturne about this as I always have been and will be. To the analog horror creators, you know you can do better, and so do I. So rise to the challenge, embrace the call to witness your own power, and go make something amazing that elevates the art field. Show yourself what you're capable of and give your art what it rightfully deserves. Too many others around you aren't doing the work, and you're far better than joining those ranks. You know it and I know it. You deserve better, and so does your work. If nobody else is going to challenge you to it, then I will. Analog horror needs artists to raise the quality level and inspire new creators to their potential. It has to get better than this, it needs to get better than this, or we will continue living in it and it's going to get worse. Be the artist you and the ones you're going to inspire deserve to see. You are needed. Do you understand this? A better example must exist and you can answer the call. You are needed. Changing this environment and teaching tomorrow's creators begins with you. Because deep down, I know you've seen everything that's been happening, and you're tired of it too, and something has to change. You can be that change.
It's been a week and Shelly still hasn't returned to her usual spot. I'm not sure what's changed. If you ask me, I think she's getting worse. She's blacking out during the day, like way more than usual. I've caught her doing strange things. Stranger than usual.
So are these actions of her knowing or the virus knowing?
You hear that?
Static?
You don't hear that? It's voices.
And what are they saying?
You can't make that out. It's weird, right?
You gonna be okay while I go to the office?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay. Hey, sweetie, I'm home. Shelly? Baby, awake? Shelly? Shelly? Honey? Shelly, I'm going to take that knife. Shelly, I need you to wake up. Shelly?
Dinner's ready.
That's good shit. Somebody said slow burn, and you know, I'm feeling it a little bit here. That was good build because we've had good beats all along on the way up here of understanding the sleepwalking, seeing the little bit of a variation of sleepwalking according to something that happened, which is very much we can account to the pesticide, right? A little extra hint of something else going on once she did move to another location, which is somebody else was around doing the same thing, another sleepwalker. Now she's changed her behavior, and all of a sudden, in the daytime, we find her like that. That actually was disturbing. Just that point of view, leaning back from it, where he walked in, just watching her, just knife, knife, knife. And that twist of the knife to the neck was beautiful. Well done. That was disturbing. It got tense. it up to the threat while delivering. Very nice.
Oh, I guess I made a mess. I'm gonna get a broom. Are you okay? Well, there goes our security deposit.
Like we were gonna get that back.
I just don't know how I feel about listening to Mary Q's suggestion.
Isn't that the whole point of this? Besides, what are you, scared of Kate? I doubt he's ever gonna find out about this.
As we are literally recording this with the intent to upload it to the internet. You know those voices in my head that I'm always telling you about? Well, they're telling me that this is not a good idea. I mean, you're locking us in.
It's only at night.
What if there's a fire?
Hey, it's not gonna be any fire. Besides, I should have did something like this a long time ago. And if it doesn't keep you from sleepwalking, it'll keep you inside at night. Yeah?
And we just witnessed what can happen to her at any point now with the sleepwalking. So when it comes to the actual beats of what's occurring here and really setting things up and making sure that we are on edge, it's not going to be so much a curiosity factor for us now with locking her in at night. It's that mixed in with the threat that we just understood can occur here. With her using the knife like that, being violent, and he's still committing to this after seeing that happen. So now we are way more aware of just how wrong this can go. Drew Snoot, thanks for chiming in here. And again, welcome. Saying, I wonder if it's implying the infection is clouding her regular perception. A normal person would have been like, oh fuck, on waking up to that. But maybe it's somehow tricking her into thinking she wasn't holding a knife against him. Now that is a good way to think about things, because her reaction really was very different. It was not understanding of what had occurred just then. Truly not. Yeah, this is, how can this go wrong now is the question. It's good work. They've done some good work up to here. You know, it's pretty obvious that it's cinematically found footage mockumentary, which is not true to form. It is breaking the form of the promise. Once again, we have a billing of the format that it's actually not that. But are we having fun? Are we entertained? Are we with the story and suspending our disbelief to ride along? I believe the answer in all these categories is yes. And now we're seeing the potency comes out. This genuinely is feeling like the stronger work by Vintage 8 that we have seen so far. The understanding of narrative and beats is coming through in the same vein.
Yeah, that's a win in my book.
Where are you going to put
It's a win in mine too.
the key?
That's for me to know.
What if I need it?
Then I'll get it.
That's what I'm talking about. If something happens to you, what am I going to do? Knock down the door?
If you know where it's at, doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose?
I don't know.
Look, we can drop all of this, call the doctor. You'd rather do that.
Well, just know that the voices in my head are not happy.
Yeah, that's no reason to call the doctor.
As we approach the end of July, there have been 2 new cases of LV reported on the northern part of the parish. But this time, they're both children. Doctors are reporting that they are in stable condition. Their conditions will be closely monitored for the next 48 hours.
It's delicious. Is something new?
Well, something I found online.
Well, you did a really great job of following instructions. Oh.
What's wrong? I thought that was your favorite.
Really? Because it tastes like poison.
You okay? You tired?
I'm always tired. I'm always asleep, or somewhere in between. It's just, sometimes I'm daydreaming about my everyday daily routine, and then bam, I wake up and I'm somewhere else doing something kooky. How do I know that I'm really sitting here with you having this meal, or am I just dreaming about something that happened 2 weeks ago? Or maybe I'm sleepwalking right now, and this is just a conversation that's, a reaction. It's just my mind on autopilot, just saying whatever my subconscious thinks that you want to hear.
Life's not a dream, sweetie.
And why do I feel like we've had this conversation before? Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
When was the
Do you think I'm infected with an alien parasite?
last time you felt carefree? Like everything was just gonna be fine.
Babe, everybody's dealing with something. Maybe this is our something.
Well, I would trade our something for someone else's something any day.
And then you might end up much worse.
Or maybe we could end up finally having a kid. Or we wouldn't have lost the first one.
Babe, you can't think like that.
Well, I do. When was the last time you felt carefree? Like everything was just gonna be fine.
Okay. It's probably the last few days before I got sick. We went to that old burger shack.
The place is a dump. We only would go there if we were too lazy to cook.
The food was so awful. Awful.
So what was so special about that day?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's what made it so great.
Eternal Inquisitor is saying, Nick, what if his exposure to the mosquitoes is making him downplay her symptoms? What if he's not 100% himself either? That is a possibility. I really enjoy this happening because now we're getting a look at the human toll of the horror scenario. We've had the story played out all along from the overview, from kind of the simplified short story perspective, you might say, of everything happening. But now we get to zoom in to an actual scenario and witness the effects on people inside of it. And it's quite effective. And yeah, I'm thinking it's that burger shack, the one advertised with the burger time, whee! Dancing burger.
This is the last normal day of my life.
I like that one. I'm gonna steal that one.
What about you?
The same day.
No, you can't have that one. Seriously.
No, I meant it. I'm gonna steal that one. At least I know it actually happened.
Okay. Are there days that she does not know really happened? You know what? We'll do one more. We gotta see what happens that night, right? We gotta see. We gotta see. Aha.
Well, at least I'm back to my usual spot.
Funny.
Come on, you must have told me.
There's no way I told you.
Well, maybe I saw you hide it.
You were in bed. And besides, you look like you were possessed. And why did you unplug the zapper?
I don't know. Maybe it was bothering the demons inside me.
I'm serious.
Well, come on, don't be ridiculous. I want to do it again.
Really? You don't find this the least bit freaky?
I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. This whole thing is weird. I just want
The alien parasites inside you might be surprising.
to see what would happen if we tried it again.
She just knows. How? Okay, how do you solve this one? They gotta padlock themselves in for the night, but the keys, realistically, can't even be kept inside the house. How do you solve that? Honestly, Droop Snoot, that's what I'm thinking too. Is that some insane method in which Prophet's connected to the hive mind, Prophet might be connected to the internet, and all of these cameras are too, right? So maybe it just knows that way. He's gonna swallow the key and it's gonna go bad. Throw the keys out the window, then retrieve them outside. Sure, but then you have an open window situation. Like, she's gonna get out through a window.
Can you explain that?
It's adapting.
What's adapting?
Whatever it is, it's inside my head. It's doing whatever it's got to do to get me to do what it wants.
Okay, so that's your medical diagnosis?
Why would you say it's happening then?
I'm not a doctor.
But you gotta admit she's right, dude.
I want you to show these videos to Dr. Lopez.
Finally. Some common sense.
Call tomorrow.
Why? Why?
The LV virus is everywhere. LV is the new normal. 2 weeks ago, none of my staff or researchers were carrying the virus. Today, 70% are infected. So obviously, mosquitoes aren't the only carriers. In the next year, I think it's a real possibility 99% of Western civilization could either be carrying the disease or dead from complications.
What can be done?
I'm not sure anything can be done.
This is a interesting choice of writing for the head of the CDC, but okay, we'll ball.
quarantines haven't worked. We need to identify other carriers. Examine our blood supplies. Resume research on a vaccine.
Shelly. Time to wake up.
Hello, Mochi Mochi and Raiders. Welcome on in. Thank you. Hope you had a good stream. Let me just review that. Is it a moment of communication that's occurring there? When she opens her mouth? It almost seems like it's hinting that it's a form of communication on the spot. Like, obviously it had to be some kind of communication from what we saw earlier, but almost like a different nature here.
So what you about to do, sweetie?
Don't follow.
Now, see, there's Vintage 8. There's that little touch of B-movie, drive-in movie camp. Don't follow. There's that Body Snatchers rah, type of shit.
I warned you. You're lucky she loves you.
Shelly! Shelly! Shelly, wake up for God's sake! This is all my fault. Should have called the freaking doctor. I'll never forgive myself if something happens to her. She's never wandered out this far. I swear she's gonna wake up and not know where the hell she's at. Or worse, she just stays asleep. Damn it!
You love a little camp of these videos, huh? Oh, there's been some camp all along. From the very first one, there's always a little kind of injection of camp that we've very much appreciated and helped understand the overall picture of tone and style with these. I really appreciate what's happening with this one here. It's like things have ramped up appropriately. We expected new activity, we expected to learn more, but we're really getting our reward at this point. Like, it's definitely rewarding us for our patience, giving some answers, while also locking in information hinted at in prior entries.
Hey, who's there? Shelly? Like a dumbass, left my phone at home. Morning has to be a couple hours away. God, this is as bad as it gets. I mean, there are bodies of water everywhere. She can't swim. Wild animals. These freaking mosquitoes.
What happened? Your wife take the night off?
Where the hell have you been?
Well, I was thrilled to wake up in my own bed for once.
So you don't remember anything about last night?
I never remember anything. What did I do?
So, what you gonna do, sweetie? Wasn't expecting that.
Don't follow.
I warned you. You're lucky she loves you.
Shelly! Shelly! Shelly, wake up for God's sake!
You could have gotten hurt out there.
Yeah, and you could have died out there.
I know. Call Dr. Lopez if you want.
I already did. Uploaded the video earlier for him to see. We've got a video conference scheduled for later today.
He's probably gonna admit me again.
You don't know that.
Maybe that would be best.
It's solid. Honestly, it's solid work. They're really leaning in here. The pacing is good. The developing is good. I don't know where they would take it from here or how, but they're doing a solid job. I mean, the worst you can say is, yeah, it can't properly bill itself as found footage horror. That is another false label. It's incorporating pieces of footage from perspectives. That's about it. It's been good to go over Vintage 8 stuff. Of course, it goes up to 8 parts. This is the halfway point. And there's still a lot, man. There's a lot to this Tangi Virus saga. Completion of Sinkhole was fun. Swarm, solid. Itch, no. Sleepwalker is good. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a thumbs up. There's plenty to enjoy about this one, and definitely applaud. I am absolutely thrilled about the creator's evolution here. The advancement to live action and commitment to doing more. Definitely. Because you really do gotta commit to something like this. You have to get the property you're gonna work on. You have to get the actors. You have to set up all of those props for the surveillance cameras. You have to make sure you have that good camera for this. It's a lot of work. You really gotta commit to this. But when you do it, the work speaks, doesn't it? This is the right way. It's evolution as a creator. It's growing and realizing you can do more and going for more. Always awesome to see that. But hey, thank you all for joining me for Vintage 8. I really appreciate you coming by, hanging out for this, seeing a lot more of what they've got going on here. It's been a nice time. I was definitely curious, and my curiosity's been sated. Could we also go along with more of it? I imagine that we could, maybe in the future. We could kick on a stream, roll forward with that, possibly, if you care for it. I do hope you all have enjoyed yourselves, I really do. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Only I had legs. I'd use them to kick you in the ass. Dumbass.